Just Heather. Good evening, everybody. David Jones, Sergeant of Arms. I call the meeting to order. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Next week, we're not going to have a meeting because it's Thanksgiving. So don't show up. We won't be here. The week after that, we do have a meeting and we're going to have 3 speakers. Tonight, we have none, but we are going to do some improv. So we'll have 3 speakers the week after that. Also, we just wanted to kind of get a survey. You don't have to tell me now or tell Elvis or any of the other officers, but for Christmas is on a Sunday. So we don't know who's traveling the week before, the week after. So just think about, look at your schedule and let us know if you're interested in having a meeting or not, either the week before or the week after. I'm always up for a meeting, so my vote is yes, but if I'm the only one here, maybe I would be a no. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our president, Elvis Lopez.
Thank you, David. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Welcome to Queen City Toastmasters. Tonight, we have a very interesting meeting. There's no prepared speeches, so it's a great opportunity for us to practice our impromptu speaking. So I hope it is an opportunity for all of us here to speak. After all, that's what we all came here for, right? I would like to go ahead then and introduce our guests for tonight. We don't have anyone, or we don't have any guests online, so I will go ahead and introduce our guest that is in person here. Nick, please introduce yourself. Let us know your name. How did you find out about our club, and what are you interested in?
Well, thank you very much for having me here. My name is Nick Foster. Began actually looking at Toastmasters several months ago, actually during COVID, so several years ago. The idea struck me, but I never ventured into the virtual worlds. Since then, past couple weeks, I have visited with one club virtually and wanted to try what it was like in person. So found you guys online, actually within the past couple days. And a big part of coming to these events is my job role is expanding. I am speaking more in front of larger groups of the company. I work with a local home builder. I manage the production department for architectural services. So a lot of it is technical talks, but also just getting up in front and giving news to the company in general of how we're doing. So being that it is becoming a bigger role for me, I honestly want the practice. I want to get rid of the nerves of standing in front of people and getting ready to get back in my seat and taking up time. And I believe coming to these events, just the repetition, the learning and the practice will help me get to that point. So I look forward to learning.
Thank you so much, Nick. And you said it right. Coming to these events in a supportive environment, practicing, getting the repetitions is going to get you to the level of comfort that you're looking for. So thank you for coming again and welcome to our club. I would like to introduce now the person that is going to lead us throughout this meeting. He is our Vice President of Education. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster of the Day, Dr. Eric Laxer.
Thank you very much, Elvis, Mr. President. And I'm excited to be your Toastmaster of the day today, as long as I don't break my iPad, and to bring to you what I think is a fun and interesting and maybe important topic in our lives, and it is the topic of meditation. And I've divided the theme this evening into several parts. I'm going to share with you my meditation experience, talk a little bit about what is meditation, and explain how you can develop a meditation practice if you're interested in doing so. And then what the benefits of meditation are. And maybe at the end, if we have time, maybe we can do a group meditation together. But before we do that, I would like to introduce our inspirational thought or joke master, who is going to give us either an inspirational thought or share a joke with us. And please join me in welcoming Heather Gorley.
Thank you, Eric. Hello, fellow Toastmasters. I wish I could be there in person, but I started getting a sore throat yesterday afternoon, and I thought I would best to stay at home today. And I wish I was giving this in person, but I think this message kind of ties into the meditation theme tonight, and it's on gratitude. Because in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I thought I would share a message on gratitude. Gratitude. It is a powerful portal to meaningful creation and transformation. It sifts away the mind's chatter, the to-do lists, the focus on what we do not have, what we should be, could become, or what we may have been, and brings us back to center, to where we are, the here and now. Our center and presence is required to connect our minds back to our hearts and listen to the messages from the voice within that often gets drowned out by all the information overload that surrounds us on the daily. For me personally, a gratitude journaling practice began on a regular basis in 2019 when I was healing from a breakup and was choosing not to drink for 30 days in order to sit with my feelings on a deeper level. The journaling held me accountable, gave me a practice, a ritual to help process my thoughts, and then focus on why I wanted to be more present in my life so I could be grateful again for this breath, this moment, this life, and find a joy in slowing down and appreciating the details more vividly. So I could let go of the past, the worries about the unknown future, and connect with the love I wanted to cultivate the road forward. And it all had to begin within, with gratitude. So in the hustle and bustle that often rushes in this time of year, tempting us away from the present moment into distraction, I encourage each of us to create a gratitude practice this holiday season. It could be journaling, meditating, taking a walk in nature, giving a stranger a compliment, being more present and appreciative while we're spending time with loved ones, even the annoying ones, maybe especially the annoying ones. Slowing down in traffic and letting someone in when we're, in the line at the mall. Or as Sean mentioned last week, volunteering or giving at Second Harvest Food Bank this time of year, or an organization like that. Because when we're grateful for what we have, we're able to give ourselves more freely and create stronger connections in our relationships and our communities. Gratitude. It is a powerful portal to meaningful creation and transformation. Thank you, Eric, and thank you for Toastmasters.
Thank you, Heather. That was excellent, given the theme tonight. Thank you for contributing that. So I want to share with you my own meditation experience. About 6 years ago in my life, I was going through stressful times. I would describe myself as feeling unsettled. Nothing really seemed to change on the outside. My personal life, my work life were the same. But I think something changed on the inside. And I don't know what it was, but what I do know was I started to feel like I was taking experiences with me that I should have let go, and having a harder time dealing with relationships and also dealing with myself, the way I was processing events that were happening and how I was looking at them. And I had a friend who a few years earlier had also gone through something similar in his life. And he kept recommending, Eric, you got to go check out meditation. And I never really paid very much serious attention to him till I reached a point where I realized I think I do have to go try out meditation. So it really wasn't very difficult. I signed up for a meditation class. It was 2 hours once a week for 6 weeks. I learned about different ways of meditating. And after that, I started my own meditation practice. And since then, I meditate almost every day, 5 days a week or so, unless I'm traveling or something's going on, in the morning for 15 or 20 minutes. And then often in the evening or later during the day, if I have a few minutes to just settle down. And let me describe it simply as in my life, it was a game changer. It completely changed my perspective. And you realize that a lot of the stress that we carry in our own lives happens because we generate it. It has to do with the way we think. So what is meditation? We all know the word. We're all familiar in concept with it, but how do you define it? And the definition of meditation can be done in several ways, but one that I like is it's a mental exercise. It consists of achieving a state of relaxation, a state of focus, and really, most importantly, learning how to be in the present moment. That's one of the biggest challenges we all have in our lives. And meditation has been around for thousands of years. It goes back to different cultures. Buddhism is one of them, that's well known. But it's become more popularized in the Western world for the past 40 or 50 years, and a lot more recently with the availability of meditation apps, which are so accessible on our phone. And there are different types of meditation. The two most common that people are familiar with, one is transcendental meditation, where you focus on a word or a series of words called a mantra. And the other, which probably is a little more popular, is called mindfulness meditation. And these are just two examples. And much of mindfulness meditation focuses on your breath, focusing on your breath and continuing to concentrate on your breath. And there are other offshoots of that, but the breath is an excellent choice. And one of the explanations I always love for why the breath is such a good source of focus of meditation is because your breath is always with you. If you're alive, you are breathing. And so it's always there. What people often claim is, and I used to think this, I can't meditate, I can't sit still, and I can't not think. The problem with that concept is nobody can do that because the human mind is designed for thinking. We have thousands of thoughts a day. Our mind is constantly thinking. But really the focus of meditation is understanding, well, what do you do with the thoughts? And the trick is you learn in meditation not to chase your thoughts. There's a concept in meditation called monkey mind, where the monkey is an image of something going on in your brain, where there's a monkey that's like swinging from the trees and running through an empty house from room to room and always calling for your attention and distracting you. And the monkey mind is supposed to represent your thoughts. And the key is not to follow the monkey. So when you're trying to meditate, you're not trying not to think, but you're trying to just sit there and stay focused and stay in the present moment. And when you have thoughts, you can acknowledge your thoughts, but you don't chase them. You just let them go. And so if you're doing a breath-focused meditation, when your mind starts to wander and you realize, oh, I'm now thinking, I'm focusing on this, I'm worrying about that. At that moment, you just come back to your breath. And you do that over and over and over again, sometimes dozens of times or more while you're meditating. And that strengthens your meditation practice. So we'll come back in a few minutes to some of the other concepts I want to share with you. But now I would like to introduce several important members of our Toastmasters team this evening, starting, and please join me in welcoming our grammarian, Mr. John Capello.
Thank you, Dr. Eric. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. and honored guests. Now, Nick, you had mentioned you wanted to learn and grow and improve. And one of the ways we do that here at Toastmasters is to be mindful of our filler words. So I'm going to be serving as a role of grammarian tonight. And two of the key responsibilities of grammarian are first to do just that, to keep track of the ums, so's, and you knows, words that really don't add any meaningful contribution to your message. And you can be shocked on how much and how clear and poised a speaker can sound if you remove the ums, so's, and you knows. So I'll be keeping track of that through the course of tonight and report back at the end of the meeting to see how we did. Now, my second key role is to introduce the word of the day. That word, equanimity. Heather's laughing because this is actually from a book by Mr. Ed Milet, who really is a big proponent of equanimity. So what is equanimity? Let's get a definition. Now, equanimity actually stems from a Latin word, equanimitas, which means having an even mind. The definition of equanimity is mental calmness, composure, evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation, which I think is pretty appropriate given Dr. Eric's theme tonight. Use in a sentence as an example. I'm always impressed with the amount of equanimity that the best professional golfers display when a tour championship is on the line on the 18th green on Sundays. Use the word equanimity tonight at any point in tonight's meeting, and you will receive special kudos from me at the end. So let's be mindful of our use of our filler words tonight and do our best to incorporate the word of the day. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster John, and especially for stepping in at the last minute. We appreciate that. And for a wonderful, wonderful choice of word given our theme tonight. I would now like to call upon our timer to explain to us what his role consists of and let us know what to expect during the evening. Please join me in welcoming Toastmaster Jamie.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. So as Toastmaster Eric said, I will be our timer for this evening. That means I will be helping keep track of our usage of time across our speeches. But since we only have one speech topic today, which is our table topics, the times that we'll be paying attention to are 1 minute is going to be green, 1 minute, 30 seconds for yellow, and 2 minutes for red. There's also a 30-second buffer on the other side of that. You can think of that as extra time in soccer, where you can finish up your speech and still qualify for our best table topic speaker of the evening. I think our ballot counter will get to that because we will be voting on that. Lastly, I will just highlight that the timer's role is critical because it allows all of our speakers to remain focused and centered on their comments and maintain their equanimity as they finish their prepared remarks. So I will be back to provide timers reports at the end of our table topic session and look forward to sharing those with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jamie. And now please join me in welcoming one of our newer members in the club who will be serving as our ballot counter, Toastmaster Melissa.
All right. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honorable guest. Excited to be the ballot counter for tonight. So for that, we have this fancy sheet that you'll see in front of you. Most of you are aware of these. Tonight, we only have table topics. That is the last one. So if you want to tear that off now, that would be great. And make sure you fill out the best speaker and then the most improved as well. If you are online, which I believe we just have one tonight, but make sure you submit your votes to Club View and we'll get that counted as well. And I believe that's everything for tonight.
Thank you, Melissa. So I want to talk just for a couple minutes on what the benefits of meditation are. And we are very lucky. We live at a time in history where There are a lot of tools available for scientists who can look at things and provide explanations to things that we've known for a long time. And this has been applied very well in the world of meditation. For example, there are blood tests that are used to measure blood level hormones or other chemicals such as cortisol and adrenaline, which go up and down depending on the stress level you're in. And it's been shown through blood studies that when you're involved in a meditation practice, these levels decline. And as a result, things like your blood pressure goes down, your heart rate goes down, your rate of breathing goes down. And these are aspects that we know if they're not well controlled, if your blood pressure is elevated, then you can start having health problems. Other tools that scientists have used to look at how meditation helps us include something called a functional MRI scan, which allows people to map out what areas in your brain are active when you're doing certain activities, and also EEGs, or reading the electrical activity of the brain, doing certain activities. And again, it's been shown using both of these tools, MRI scans and electrical activity scans, that areas of your brain that are important and helpful toward good health and well-being light up or become more active during meditation. So as a result, it's been shown that meditation reduces stress, improves anxiety and depression, reduces chronic inflammation, and strengthens your immune system. And that's extremely important, especially given the history over the past couple of years. It improves concentration and memory. Mindfulness and meditation is now being introduced in public school systems, where it's been also shown to improve school performance in kids and reduce things like delinquency and truancy. That'll probably continue to grow as it gets introduced more broadly. It also improves self-awareness, allows people to more positively engage in different situations and relationships. It improves performance in many areas, including athletics. It would be unusual to find a professional athlete or a professional sports team today that doesn't have a meditation consultant that works with their team. And it improves sleep. And one of the things I've really liked about the field of meditation, in addition to these physiological and functional benefits, it really offers us insight and wisdom into other ways of living. And many of these come from Buddhist teachings. And John, you mentioned one with the word of the day. And so thank you for doing that. That was a great choice. Another one is the concept of impermanence. Impermanence basically means that nothing in life really stays the same. All things change. It's like the sun setting and rising every day. It's like the way water flows. And these things aren't good and they aren't bad. These things just are. And that's an important part of accepting the flow in life. And that's one of the things that really helped me several years ago when I got into meditation. There are many famous meditation instructors who are quoted quite often. One of the ones I like the most is Thich Nhat Hanh. He was a Buddhist monk. And here's a quote that he said about impermanence. What makes us suffer is wanting things to be permanent when they're not. Impermanence teaches us to respect and value every moment and all the precious things around us and inside of us. And I think that's a very powerful, powerful statement. So I'd like to segue into table topics, and I think this is going to be a fun part of our evening. And please join me in welcoming Toastmaster Heather Jacoby, who will lead us in the table topics portion of our evening.
Hello, friends. I am Heather. I am going to do our table topics tonight. So for, I said an word. Nick. Took me a second to remember your name, but I was determined that I was going to remember. What table topics is, we do 1 to 2 minute speeches. So basically, once the green light comes on, that's 1 minute. So that is a success. That's a success. That's as far as you have to go. These are impromptu questions that I have come up with. So I will randomly call on people to come up and answer. If you would like to volunteer, please do. But last time I did that, I feel like I need to reach out and have some invitations. So I'll be a little bit more inviting this time. So we can get started. I did want to touch on meditation because I actually love this topic. And it's something that I actually do daily myself. I spend between 1 hour and 2 hours a day. I get up very early in the morning. And I started doing it about 8 to 10 years ago. I am a completely different human being since I started meditating. If you knew me 10 years ago, I am just a very, very different human. I have more equanimity than I've ever had in my entire life. It's an opportunity for me to sit with myself. A phrase that always sticks with me, the Delphi Oracle said, know thyself. And I think anytime we get an opportunity to sit with ourselves, especially in today's day and age, we're so distracted. It gives us an upper hand in life, gives us an opportunity to sit and reflect and see the truth of who we are, where we're at, and we're all flawed. And God, I know the more that I've meditated, the more flawed I realized I am. So I have more grace for other people because I now know how flawed I am. Whereas I felt like in the past, I was more on autopilot instead of in the moment. So it's a great topic, Eric. Thank you. Jamie, would you like to come up and answer a question? Would you like to volunteer? Okay. So my daughter works in the public. She works at a juice bar and she serves people daily. And the other day she mentioned to me the different types of people that are coming in that she has become aware of. So she labeled a couple, the phone talker, the person that's on the phone that's doing the order, the rude person. And then she mentioned the kind, happy person. And I asked her out of curiosity, what is the percentage of the kind people that give you attention and treat you with kindness? And she said it was the smallest percentage of all of the people. And that broke my heart. So I would like to ask you, how do you think as humans we can go about in our distracted world giving each other more attention and contributing an act of kindness as a human in our daily life?
Thank you, Heather. Great question. I think it starts with empathy. I don't think we can put ourselves, or if we can't put ourselves in the shoes of the folks that we're interacting with on a daily basis, we can't connect with them on a deeper level. You actually bring to mind an experience that I had, which was I was working at one of the uptown offices right before COVID, and I'd been in that same office for 4 or 5 or 6 years. And every morning I went to the same coffee place at the bottom of our building, and I got to know all of the baristas and the folks that had worked there. I actually got to see them come and go. I was probably more permanent than a lot of them, but there was 1 or 2 that really invested in building relationships, and it was a mutual thing, right? I think that's what ultimately comes. It's empathy, but it's also a reciprocity. It's a mutual commitment, right, from both parties to want to get to know each other, to go beyond just sort of the vague banalities of how's the weather, right? But really try to understand what's going on in people's lives, to be attuned to maybe a difference in emotion or attention, or just their current state in their life, and being able to ask about that, being comfortable asking about that, right? Sometimes we don't want to touch a nerve. We don't want to get too close. That's going to invite in a lot of emotions that I'm not ready to take on for somebody that I don't know that well, right? But that's the kind of connection that I think ultimately brings us closer together, and allows us to be more open to being kind and joyful. But it reminded me of that experience because COVID hit, and I was almost in tears because I knew I wasn't going to see these people maybe ever again. And that's exactly how it turned out. That was my last interaction with these folks that I'd spent with, 6, 7, 8 years on a regular basis, seeing them more often than friends and family in some cases. And just like that, it was gone. So I'm glad I had that opportunity, that moment to spend with them and to build those relationships. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. That was a really great answer. I think this is a great opportunity for us to give back to the community and pay attention to how we're contributing to our everyday life and world. I know we're all distracted, we're all busy, but even just to stop and pay attention to the cashier, or smile and be kind. And we don't always have to look at our phones or be on our phone. And because the people on the other end are receiving it and they're feeling it. That will lead me into my next question. Alan, would you like to come join us and volunteer? Thank you, Alan. Okay. This is great after talking about COVID, because I think most of us in the world today are struggling with a lot of mental strength. We've all been isolated, and it's a huge topic these days. And so my question for me, Alan, meditation has helped my mental state, which has taken on for me more. I've had to do more than just meditating. It's taken physical activity, nutrition, meditation, social support. Those are some of the things that I have set in place for me. So my question is, what are some of the things that you do to help you support yourself when you're feeling blue?
Thank you. That's a wonderful question. And as far as COVID is concerned, for me as a single man living alone, having to stay home and not interact with other people was an extremely hard pill to swallow. And I remember the very last Sunday I drove up here for church before I had to start working from home. There were no more church services. All the restaurants were just for takeout, and no one was getting together. And my Facebook feed was inundated with people who just kept yelling at other people to stay home. And I get it. We had to do our part to mitigate the spread of COVID. But it was really easy for all these people who were yelling at other people in writing to stay home because they had their spouses, they had their kids, their pets, and whoever else was living with them to keep them company. I had just had myself. And it was really depressing, especially when I had to start working from home. But then within maybe a couple weeks, I got used to it. And then I just realized there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just going to have to make the most of this downtime. I picked up exercise equipment from Target and wherever else I could find some. So I had my living room, which was doing triple duty as my living room, my home gym, and my office. I found workouts on YouTube. I would take walks across the street at my park. And then I would still go out to eat as far as takeout, because I would do those things. I remember on Thursday nights and Sundays after church and Toastmasters respectively. And I figured I'm going to keep this tradition going in at least some capacity, like try to make the most of what I'm still able to do. And it seemed devastating at first for me personally when everything closed, but then I realized, you know what? There are plenty of other people that are in much worse shape than I am. I made the most of it. I've come out of it, and hopefully the worst of COVID is behind us. And at least I know now that if it came down to it, I could suck it up again. Thank you.
Do we have time for more? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Online? Sonia.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Sonia.
Hi.
Okay. Sonia, have you ever seen the Laughing Buddha?
That is a question. I have never seen the Laughing Buddha. But if I were to see the go ahead. You have a question?
So that's not the total question. The
Okay.
Laughing Buddha is a statue of a Buddha smiling and laughing. But did you know that when you smile at someone, you automatically smile back? So basically, when we smile, it's an automatic response for somebody to smile back at us. Our neurotransmitters are wired to smile back automatically. So if you just smile at somebody, 9 out of 10 times they're going to smile at you unless they are intentionally holding back the smile. It will be a natural response. Are you ready to smile more often? And what are some other ways that you can spread joy to the world?
Thank you for that question and for that explanation. I truly believe we cue people how we want to be treated, but at the same time, we have to give the gift of grace, and we do that with a smile. There's so many people that walk around this world with a smile on their face, but they're breaking down inside. And if you would just exchange some level of positive energy, they will know when it's authentic. I was at a Toastmasters meeting yesterday and someone says, how you react is a reflection of what's inside of you. And if we take the time to focus on being kind and showing grace, people will understand it and they will connect to it. So thank you for the question. And I believe my challenge this week is to smile and to smile more than ever. Because with you asking that question, I know that my Lord is telling me there is someone that needs me to smile. How else can I be kind to someone? By offering a listening ear. Sometimes we smile, oh, I hope you have a great day. And then we move on. But if we're going to be authentic with our smile and authentic with our greetings, I hope you're having a great day. And if you're not, can you tell me about it? Because I'm willing to listen. So thank you for the question, and thank you for the challenge that I'm going to smile more for the rest of the week, but I'm also going to be intentional with asking people, how are you? If you're not doing well, I will sit with you. I will even sit with you in silence if you need me to, because being present, whether it's with your smile or your presence or your voice, can change the trajectory of someone's life. And this is coming from someone who was on the top of the world, best in class, but was suicidal. And I felt like I couldn't tell anybody. But if someone had really asked me, how are you? And gave me a moment to cry and tell them I wasn't well, I think my life, my younger life would have gone much, much differently. And I would have achieved a lot more. Not that what's delayed is not denied. So I know that the best is ahead of me. But if I had taken the time to invest in myself and allowed someone in, the sky would have been the limit earlier in life. So thank you for that question, and thank you for the challenge, and I'm going to take it up. And back to you.
Thank you, Sonia. Do we have time for more? Chris, would you like to, Nick, I'm gonna do this. I believe in myself. Nick, would you like to come up? Okay. Since we're on the topic of meditation, a lot of times perspective, a lot of us focus on perspective in life. Are you a glass full or a glass half empty type of person? And how does that serve you?
Okay, before I start, I would like to ask our grammarian of the day for your graciousness and equanimity for the barrage of uhs and ums that are about to come your way. Secondly, wow, this is very different than the previous group I met with. Their table topics were pulled off of 2 words out of apples to apples and figure out how to get them together. And you guys are diving right into the philosophical depths of life. So am I glass half full or glass half empty? I work in a technical field. Have we measured the glass? What is the precision that we have used to measure the total volume versus what is shown? I very much like to rely on facts and what is real, what is known, what is unknown, and what is still left to be found out. With that question, a lot of times I would say I'm kind of on the glass is half empty, but I really want to find out for sure and find a true answer to what's going on around me. And that is a large part of my personality. It serves me in the profession where I work, where it's not in regards to what is felt, it is what can be proven, what needs to be found out, and how do we get there? So thank you very much for the question. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nick. That was the excellent answer. And I'm the opposite, but we definitely need both polarities to make this world work effectively. And you did really well on your time, which is impressive for a first time, especially. Impressive in general. So great, thank you. Okay, so one more, Andrea, would you like to come? As we're on the topic of meditation, I believe emotional intelligence is one of the most powerful types of intelligence. How do you feel about formal education? And do you think that it's necessary to be successful in life?
Thank you for that question, Heather. Is success in education necessary to be successful in life? I used to say yes. I sent my kids to school and I said, don't come home with less than a B. To me, that was successful. Then I had a daughter who was diagnosed with epilepsy and high spectrum autism. And I learned that the definition of success is qualitative or quantitative to who you're talking to. So for my one daughter, getting an A and B was success. But the daughter who they said could never do anything, who would never learn how to tie her shoe. Literally, we taught the child how to tie her shoe every morning till she was 7.5. Success for her was learning, simply learning. And some people, they get it in school and formal education, and some people get it out in the world. But I will say this, everyone can be successful if you tap into their brains. So for that child, what happened at 7.5, she learned how to play the clarinet. That one little snap, that one little thing connected her to math, English, reading, writing, everything opened up to her. We never had to teach her how to tie her shoe again because something in her brain that we popped, we snapped, connected her. And sometimes the problem with formal education is we don't waver, we don't bend. We want to continue to be formal, but the best instance of education, who can agree? Those teachers who made it snap. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Andrea. Does that wrap it up? Yes. Thank you. I do tend to be more philosophical as a person, so that's interesting. So I pass it over to Eric. Jamie. Timer. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Heather. Fantastic questions. I loved all of them. I loved all the responses and everybody qualified. So I came in at 2 minutes, Alan at 2:25, Sonia at 2:26, Nick at 1:58, Andrea at 2:19. So congratulations to everybody. Everybody's eligible for the ballot.
Thank you. And just a reminder, mentioning the ballot, please do vote for your favorite table topics speaker. Notice how I didn't say best. I said your favorite table topic speaker. So we have a little bit of time. I'm going to give you a chance to do your ballots. And while you're doing that, I'm going to explain a couple simple ways how you could develop a meditation practice if you're interested in doing so. And the simplest thing is just sit quietly, comfortably, close your eyes and focus on your breath. And we're going to do that in a minute, assuming we continue to have time. The second is you could take a class. You could now do it in person again. You could do it online. You can also look at different well-known meditation teachers and read books that they've written. And the list is too long for me to go through, but I'd be happy to suggest some if anyone's interested. And thanks to modern technology, you can also use an app, which is actually an incredibly convenient way to meditate. And I do that, and there are several. The one I like is called Insight Timer. The others that are popular, one is called 10% Happier. One is called Calm, and then Headspace is the other one. Heather, do you use any of the apps? Yeah. You use Calm also? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Now, I think we have time to do a 5-minute meditation. And so I would invite all of you to close your eyes, get comfortable where you're sitting, and just focus on your breath. Breathing through your nose as you do so. And no need to change anything in how you're breathing. Just allow your breath to move and function however it wants to. And while you're sitting, Give the muscles of your body the gift of relaxation. Let them soften. Just let them become part of gravity. And as you focus on your breath, feel your breath as it enters your body at the tips of your nostrils. Feel the cool air as it enters. And as you breathe out, become aware of the warmer air as it exits through your nostrils. And if your mind starts to wander somewhere toward a thought, just accept that. You can acknowledge the thought, but then just let it go. Think of your thoughts like clouds just passing over you on a warm summer day. Continue to do this for another minute or so till you hear my voice again. Keeping your eyes closed and focusing on the breath at your nostrils. Just start to gently wiggle your toes and your feet. And then your fingers. Just let your neck bend backwards and slowly, gently stretch it out a little bit. And then forwards, doing the same thing. Turn your neck gently to the left. Let it relax. To the right. And then slowly bring your head back to center. And when you feel ready, just gradually open your eyes and join us back in the room. So, it has been shown that people who practice meditation on a regular basis tend to live calmer and happier lives. And hopefully you had a taste of that if you've never meditated before. With that, I would now like to call upon our well-known general evaluator, who's going to lead the evaluation portion of our meeting. Please welcome Toastmaster David Jones.
It's so sleepy. Didn't want to get up and come up here. As a general evaluator, usually we will have speakers, and each of the speakers is evaluated by one of their peers, and we would have them come up and give an evaluation, but we don't have any speakers tonight. Therefore, I'm just going to evaluate the meeting as a whole. I want to start with our ballot counter, who will be up in a minute. Last week, she was timer for the first time. Today, she's ballot counter first time. That's the way to do it. Just get in there and do a roll every single week. And I applaud you for doing it. And we'll see what you do on the next one. Next one's important, not Thanksgiving, because we're not going to be here, but the next meeting we're going to have after that, we're going to have 3 speakers, which means we need 3 evaluators and ballot count. We need all the roles filled. It's not easy to be able to do 3 speeches without everybody, all hands on deck. And John, I like the way that you probably have to do this. Equanimity. I loved your word equanimity, equanimity. But the main thing whenever, especially when we have guests, how you explain the role as filler words and what we're looking for. But you didn't really explain the word of the day. I think that's always curious to people, like, why do we have a word of the day? You explained what it was, you gave the definition, but might want to go into next time why we have it. What is the goal as a Toastmaster to have a word of the day? And table topics, you did great. You explained all the roles, or how the role worked and why we do it. And you had some good questions that were thought-provoking for some people. And other than that, meeting was great. Nick, this is kind of a typical meeting, but you mentioned the table topics were a little different than the ones you heard. Every meeting, everybody, I think they might have explained it before, but everybody who spoke tonight will be a different role next week or the next time we're here. And we all try different things. We don't always do meditation, but we always try different things. And that's part of Toastmasters. You just get to come up here, do whatever you want and practice. So you can practice your analytical speeches whenever you're here. I'm assuming that's what you were talking about, is analytical stuff. And overall, good meeting, and look forward to the week after next, because I'll be giving a speech. Vanessa will be giving a speech online. She, of course, is a great speaker. Elva's a great speaker. And then you have me, who compare and contrast. So with that, I'll turn it back to our Toastmaster. Oh, actually, I'm supposed to call the rolls. I'll let you call the rolls.
Call the rolls.
For Mary and Bella.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'll try to do that.
Okay, I would now like to call upon our grammarian for our grammarian support, Toastmaster John.
Thank you, Toastmaster Eric. Okay, as promised, Nick, this is the point in the time of the meeting where we review how we did on the challenge of minimizing our use of filler words. And what I think you will find is that even some of our most veteran speakers can fall victim, myself included. And we always need to try to maintain the discipline, which is why coming up here and repeating, going through those repetitions helps you kind of trim those through the course as you're growing as a speaker. Just to go through a few of tonight's speakers, I'm not calling people out to shame them, more just to call it to their attention so they can be more mindful going forward. Following people I found to be absolutely clean, maybe I missed it: Alan, Sonia, Heather Gurley, and Andrea. Some of our veteran speakers made some of those filler word faux pas. David had a couple uhs. I think Elvis had a so. Eric had a so and so. Another transition that he used. All things that everyone does, very common, myself included, but we're just trying to minimize those. I think Jamie had a couple uhs. Heather had a couple ums. All the fun part. Nick, what I would like to call out, even though you prefaced it in your table topics, is that when you gave your intro, as we always see, particularly new guests, is that we'll see those filler words, the uhs and the so's, when you introduced yourself. However, during your table topics, you not only used the word of the day, but you were clean. So myself, I just called out myself, but I think you did excellent. You did excellent. It was a great recovery. So kudos to you. Nick used the word of the day. Jamie Richardson used the word of the day. Heather J used the word of the day. Did I miss anyone? I don't think I count yours, David. You cheated. A couple memorable things, quotes that stood out to me. Heather's "Know Thyself." I think Andrea liked her people or teachers that make things go snap. Overall, I would say I'd like to shout out to Eric. I really appreciated the theme. I think for me, maintaining equanimity, another way of saying it is protecting your peace. And I think a lot of times we get so emotionally charged by other people. It's always the people that maintain that can still be aggressive, but or at life in general, but still maintain that calmness, that even keel, the laid back attitude, no matter, particularly when things get tough. And that's what I think, what I was so attracted to utilizing equanimity today. But Eric, thank you. I'm going to follow up on some of your recommendations. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Toastmaster John. And now we are in the home stretch. We would like to call back Toastmaster Melissa, who is our ballot counter, for her report. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. First, I just want to say great job to everyone on these speeches. I know it's really difficult. My first time, Heather challenged me to talk about UFOs and aliens. So I feel like you got a little lucky with yours. But great job to everyone. A lot of great votes here. And one other thing before I dive into the votes, I loved the philosophical questions. I think we're all challenged from tonight to smile more, to recognize different versions of success, and to slow down and meditate. So thank you for that. And now drum roll, please. Our winner for tonight is Andrea. Congratulations. Hey, can you run all over? Congrats. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. And that brings the formal portion of our meeting to a close. I would now like to call back our presiding officer, President Elvis, to start the closure of the meeting.
Wonderful, sir. Please, another round of applause to our Toastmaster of the day. Very well deserved. Thank you for your equanimity throughout the entire meeting. I really appreciated all the topics around meditation. You were very deliberate, very thoughtful in explaining how everything works, the benefits, and definitely having that moment, experiencing meditation was something really, really different that I had never seen or experienced before, at least at the club. And thank you so much for bringing that to us. That was something that I really needed today. Been through a very, very busy day. So these, I think it was like 5 minutes, something like that. That was really, really fascinating moment to discharge, to just get back to ourselves just for a few minutes and enjoy all the benefits of the meditation. So thank you so much for that. I would like to, at this moment, go back to our guests. It's only one, but I would like to hear one more time from you. Now, what do you think about our meeting as a whole?
Thank you very much, Elvis. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters, for having me here this evening. This was a very, very different experience from what I have gone through so far with the online. The structure, the setup, the pacing, the in-depth philosophical questions. I know that's not going to be the same every week, but it's a place where that makes me feel slightly intimidated and uncomfortable. So it's kind of a place you can grow. And I look forward to coming back and going through this again with you guys.
Thank you so much. Just a reminder, I know that it has been mentioned a couple of times, but we will not have meeting next week. We will meet the week after Thanksgiving. And thereafter, we will continue meeting. There's a question about the week of Christmas, as David mentioned, and that's something that we would like to hear back. But as of now, we will continue having the meeting at the during the week of Christmas, which is 2 days before our meeting. So the meeting will be on the 27th or the 28th, I believe it is. And then the next one will be on the 3rd of January. So we will have meetings that week as well. I would like, before we leave, since we have Sonia, she always brings also a good vibe and a good idea. So I would like to hear from Sonia also. Give us your last impression or in general about the meeting as a whole tonight.
Family, thanks for allowing me to share. Thanks for allowing me to be a long time visitor. I would just say this meeting took us to another level. It challenged us to really, really think about our table topics and think about how to apply the question to our lives. That is when a meeting is impactful. I call Toastmasters meetings experiences. And when you can go to a meeting and have an experience that can make you think and make you attempt to do something differently, that's a powerful meeting. So I say this meeting, even though it was late, just a little segment that I got to participate in demonstrated the power of Toastmasters, where communicators and leaders are made. And when you guys really do events like this to challenge us, we are becoming those impactful leaders. So thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you. And thank you all for volunteering for roles. Please don't forget to sign in and join again for other roles for next meetings. It is always great to have you. Think about the challenges that we have every week, and it's all about getting our reps in. So we come here, try to do something differently and practice. So thank you so much again. And with that, I would call this meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Good night.